Ladies and gentlemen, descend at Pleasant Street Station, take in the view as you stroll down the promenade, and enjoy a pint at the Little Black Pug.
Because it's time for Talk Tull to Me. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Talk Tull to Me. I am Nick McGill.
And I am Omen Sade.
We are Feckless Momes, and we are here to talk Tull into your earballs.
We are indeed. Join us as we stroll down the avenues, byways, and quiet streets of our hometown, Jethro, Tull.
We can't get lost. We can only find new ways to get home.
Ooh.
I just made that up. That's good. I should trademark that.
That's like I want that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Or like a crappy car commercial or something that like pulls at the heartstrings.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Yeah.
So before we dive in to our content, Nick, I believe we have a little bit of business to take care of.
Got a little bit of business. Mary, if you don't mind.
It's my day off today.
I know, Mary. I'm sorry. I
The
wasn't
union
expecting.
will never hear the end of this.
I know. We get special dispensation. I apologize.
Ah,
She's getting very mouthy lately. I don't know if I like it. So we have yet another review.
Sir, sensors have detected another star in the sky.
Dear Lord, that's 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars.
A review, Nick. What platform is it on?
We've got ourselves a review on iTunes. An iTunes review. It is 5 stars, as usual.
Yeah.
We have 7 5-star reviews. Or no, we have 7 5-star ratings and 5 reviews.
That's
All 5 stars.
35 stars, Nick.
That's more stars than I ever hoped and dreamed of.
That is 1 star for every year of my life plus 1.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Very soon. Yeah. Very soon it'll be every star. Or every year. So this is from user Beowulf99.
Oh my.
Yeah. And the review is called Old Dude Here.
Let's hear it.
It's interesting to hear these younger guys' take on the music I was listening to when I was a college-age feckless mome. I thought I knew the entire Tull catalog backwards and forwards, but these guys are really making me think. I'm having to go back and listen to songs and albums I've heard 1,000 times and find new meaning. Ian was indeed a mad genius. Thanks again for this amazing podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks, Beowulf99. You old dude.
You very old dude, if it is indeed the actual Beowulf.
Yeah, oh, it could be. It could be. Yeah.
You know what's crazy about that review?
What is that?
Literally, the thing that he said is why we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Because we felt like we had listened to these albums so many times and we wanted to shed new light on this material.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't get the full gist of a song until you deconstruct it a little bit.
Yeah.
And why waste your time doing that when you can listen to Talk Tull to Me?
Well, we are so happy that our podcast is your Grendel for you to tromp into the cave of podcasts and slay every week.
Rip off that arm.
Rip it off. We should do one segment entirely in Old English just for Beowulf 99.
Have you ever heard Old English, like actually spoken?
No.
Oh, I had a callback reference to, I think, probably Teacher. The incomparable David Pecan read us a passage from Beowulf in the Old English.
Oh,
it was
my.
amazing. So, just so visceral. Such a cool sound.
I've heard Shakespeare done in original dialect, and it's really crazy.
Yeah, getting that kind of glimpse of what it actually sounded like is
Right.
so fascinating to just see the I mean, it's not, I mean, see the change, because you don't really get to see the evolution. You don't get to see the steps, but there's something very primal about hearing what it was supposed to sound like.
Well, thank you, Beowulf 99.
And Grendel 87.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. Speaking of monsters who lived in caves, Nick, this is a very special moment for us. We have received our very first piece of hate mail.
We have. It's a bit, there's a lot going on here, because it's from someone from whom we have gotten praise before.
Yeah, so it's love-hate mail.
Yeah.
But it's still exciting. It's still exciting.
We know we've made it.
We know we've made it. All we need now is that cease and desist letter from Ian Anderson himself for us to frame, and our lives as Tull fans will be complete. Now, are you ready?
Oh yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Your hate mail, sir.
Oh, that was good. I don't want to cut that, but I do have a sting. Insert sting now.
Great.
How come you know better than me that this is not love? This is not love.
Subject. Your newness to JT is pissing me off. Message. Listen up, talk Tull to me, dudes. I like you so much, but I wish to kick you in the codpiece. You're almost insulting the music with some of your garbage diatribe. Remember, what sets us apart is the deep beauty of the music and Ian's narcissism. Looking forward to the post-passion play crap you spew. Keep it grimy. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Omen, I need you to tell me how to feel about this.
I genuinely, this is the nicest hate mail that anyone could ever get, and it just gives me such a warm feeling inside.
Ever since we got it, I've been so conflicted. I vacillate between insulted and angry and hurt. And I don't know. The way that you read it makes me feel flattered.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I think it's flattering, genuinely. And I think that what's happened is that, you can't please everyone all the time. Mm-hmm. And you can't even necessarily please anyone any of the time.
That's, yeah.
I think that this listener, if I'm to interpret, there is something about our commentary, which our dear listener, who thank you so much for continuing to listen to us.
Genuinely, yeah, thank you.
Even though we piss you off, which, what else are friends for? That there's something about our commentary that is rubbing this gentleman the wrong way. And this is a journey, Nick. This is a lot of episodes that we're doing, and the music changes. We ourselves will change. The podcast will change, and the music, just as the music has changed. And so, I hope for all you listeners who are, maybe finding a moment of the podcast not your cup of tea, it's just like listening to Jethro Tull. Keep listening for a few decades, and sooner or later that synthesizer will get out of there and be replaced by something that you do appreciate.
Yeah.
Also, how did you know we were wearing cod pieces?
Any true Tull skull is wearing a codpiece at any given moment, I think.
Mine's actually at the cleaners at the moment.
He's getting resequined.
Yes, exactly.
In all seriousness, though, thank you for listening, for continuing to listen. It's so easy to stop listening to a podcast and find 30 others. We do genuinely appreciate your continued listenership. And yeah, the perspective is going to change. I mean, I have a feeling the biggest thing that I tried to do when we first got this was I tried to pinpoint what episode inspired this. And if I'm to go on my CSI presumption, it has to do with the tail end of Aqualung, which means maybe you were religious out, is my only guess. That it was too much of the religious talk that we did. And that's done. That's over with. I mean, that is really the only really heavily religious album. So we'll be going on from that. Hopefully that solves the problem.
You know, Nick, I appreciate your dissecting this, but I also think that way lies madness. And we will never know what pissed our friend off.
That's true.
And unless he tells us. Until then, I think we should just continue on the path that we have chosen.
And that is a path of very slow, spiraling self-destruction. But we will continue to do it for the next few years, I believe.
We'll see if we can speed it up.
Just genuinely thank you to everyone listening who does enjoy the podcast and
everyone listening who doesn't enjoy the podcast.
And we are 100% open to constructive criticism.
Yeah. Or destructive criticism.
Or non-structive criticism.
It's so nice to know that we're not just screaming into the void.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got our fair share of listeners now at this point.
And on that note, Nick, what are we screaming into the void about this week?
We are going to scream Tull about Up the Pool.
Ooh, so Nick, this is one which I have literally never heard before.
Oh, that's so exciting. That is delightfully exciting to me.
Shall we, for you, for the umpteenth time, and with my fresh and nubile virgin ears, take a listen?
So supple, those ears. Yeah, let's have a listen.
I'm going up the pool from down the smoke below.
Okay, so first time hearing that. What are your first thoughts, Omen?
Wow. I don't know what to say, Nick. I think I was I don't know what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not expecting that.
It's on the outskirts of the sound that Tull has.
It feels rough in comparison to some of the other stuff on this album and some of the other stuff in general. Like, it doesn't have the polish of a lot of their other music. It feels like something that Ian just wrote and was like, you know what, I want to record this, went into the studio and banged it out, and that was sort of it.
I don't know. I mean, yes, I agree with that, but I think there is a certain simplicity and naivete there that we're supposed to feel because it's talking about, which we'll get into when we get into the depth of the song, but it's basically talking about going home to a simpler, easier life.
Yeah, or looking back on a time from a remove.
Sure.
It definitely has a feeling of nostalgia to it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just in the music, there's something, there's a tradition in English and Scottish folk music and Irish folk music, certainly, of almost an ode to the place you've left.
Yeah, sure. The homeland.
So fare thee well, my own true love. When I return, united we shall be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that grieves me, but my darling, when I think of thee. Or that kind of like all those Scottish and Irish songs, Loch Lomond, talking about the place where you've left, and thematically with those songs, there's often the sense that you're leaving a place to which you can never really return.
If for no other reason than when you come back to it, you're not the same person.
Exactly. And I think I feel like that's the sense I'm getting from this. And maybe I'm reading, maybe I'm projecting onto it just because I know, the history of Tull, but it has that sense of it. It's like a nostalgic remembrance of a place that you can only see again through different eyes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about my own hometown. That
I was just going to ask you that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I go back to my hometown, which happens occasionally, when I look at the places where I used to go in high school, let's say, I see them sort of two ways simultaneously. One, I see them as physically seeing them in this moment for what they are, and also I'm seeing them through the eyes of teenage me when I used to live there.
What they were,
or what my experience of them were.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, a building is a building; it's a bunch of bricks. But
right.
But your experience of it makes it special, and so having that kind of simultaneous double view creates that feeling of nostalgia or separation or movement in your own life. And that's the sense that I'm getting from this song.
That in that time, both you and the place have changed. You can look back on it nostalgically, but there is a darn good chance that you'll never have that sunshiny moment that you remember.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and let's be clear, this is about Blackpool. Going up the pool is going up to Blackpool. And I believe that's where they really kind of got their start, right?
Yes, that's where they were playing as the Blades, which is funny because at this point it's basically the Blades as Jethro Tull.
Blades plus Martin? No, Martin was part of that.
No, Blades plus Martin.
Oh, it is. Okay. Oh, that's right. Martin was part of, oh gosh, I don't remember the name of his band. So yeah, that in and of itself can exacerbate that feeling of I'm with all of these people with whom I used to hang out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So Nick, I feel like we're sort of dancing around the lyrics a bit. Why don't we just jump into them?
Do you want to do some basic Britishisms first before we get into it, or we'll go bit by bit?
Yes, let's leapfrog. You hit me with one, and I will define it to the best of my ability, and then I will hit you with one.
There aren't that many that I see. Mum is pretty simple. It's just how they say
chrysanthemum.
Mom. Chrysanthemum,
yes,
obviously.
Mother. Yeah.
All right, your turn.
Oh. So what's a jam sarnie?
Sarnie is sandwich.
So a jam sandwich.
Jam sandwich. Yep. It's just how they say sandwich.
And a jam sandwich was a traditional lunch, sort of a workman's lunchtime food.
Yeah, a lot like half pint of bitter and
bread and jam.
Bread and jam. There it is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Great. I can imagine when they were in their younger days.
Yeah, it's like a bologna and cheese in the States, or just a peanut butter and jelly for that matter.
Yeah, exactly. I just have the image of like one of their mothers bringing them some sandwiches, as they're getting ready to play the bingo hall.
Oh, you mean the Blades?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, speaking of food, candy floss.
Candy floss is cotton candy.
Great.
And the last one that I saw, braces.
Oh, that's an article of clothing.
Yep. Old vests, braces dangling down.
Well, vests doesn't mean vests. Vests means tank tops.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In that context. Braces. Oh, braces are suspenders.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're in their tank tops and their suspenders because they've taken off their button downs.
Right. They're in a state of semi-undress.
Yeah, because you're at the beach.
Right. So, yeah. Nick, that brings us to Blackpool itself.
Sure. What do you got about Blackpool?
Well, I looked at a map,
Okay.
And the Blackpool
And
is...
it's not in the United States.
It's, I don't know
Could
where
not
it
find
is.
it.
It's a seaside town.
Uh-huh.
It's north of Liverpool. And if you do an image search, it's fascinating because it has this long beachfront
Mm.
that looks like a frickin' carnival. There's a Ferris wheel. There's this incredibly impressive black steel tower that I don't really know what it's for.
Which is referenced in the song.
Yeah, I think it's called the Blackpool Tower.
Yeah.
But there are just, I mean, the seaside part of it is just packed with shops and little restaurants and cafes, and it's a little resort. It's like where I can imagine you might go with your family from an hour or so away to have a weekend at the beach.
Yeah, it's a boardwalk. It's in the absolute most non-pejorative sense. It's like the Jersey Shore here.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
Yeah,
I've never been to the Jersey Shore.
I haven't either, but I do know that like it is a destination.
Totally. And probably similarly, perhaps, it's a distinctly working class
Sure, right.
vacation destination.
Mhm.
It's not, it's not Euro Disney.
It's not any Disney.
Yeah, and neither is it, like the Lake Country or
Or the Hamptons.
the Hamptons. It's like
Or Martha's Vineyard even.
certainly not that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all right. Let's pack the kids in the car and we're gonna go bang out a holiday before I have to be back at the factory.
Right. We'll drive 2 hours and spend the weekend there and then drive back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which makes perfect sense as to why a band could get their start there. Because if it's
Sure.
if it's sort of involved geographically in the entertainment and relaxation industry, I'm sure that it was a bit of a party town, and thus, you could play at a pub.
Or busk even.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, the pub that I referenced in the intro, it was just one that I looked up. And when I looked it up, it was like live music all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
Enough space for dancing. They have some great acts. I'm like, wow, how interesting. I wonder if Blackpool is still functioning as a place for bands to get their starts.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hesitate to think so just because of the internet culture that we have now.
Sure.
And just the ability to communicate much more readily and easily and quickly. But in the sense of that being a focal point for musicians to go to and to get an opportunity to play, like if that was so crucial a point for Tull, no wonder they're talking about it.
Absolutely.
Even in a pretty removed and far away nostalgic look, like in a sense they have Blackpool to thank for where they are right now.
Well, certainly, it's a bit like the other odes. One for John Gee, who gave them their one of their big first breaks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a certain self-awareness in some Tull songs that's really nice to see.
Absolutely, and there's something very humble about it. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many rock stars whose perspective is like, I was born from a lightning bolt on the cock of God. Like, this sort of
I'm looking
narrative
at you,
of like,
Led Zeppelin.
of springing fully formed from the brain of some entity
Yeah.
with a guitar in your hand, and like, this is really refreshing. I that's what I'm coming to with this song. This first listen is like, wow, this is a rock band having a lovely nostalgic song about their really like gritty beginnings. Lovely.
Yeah, there's a humanity and a mortality to it.
And a humidity.
And I mean, it's on the coast. It's on the water. It might be.
I love that he references rainy days.
Yeah.
I can imagine what the weather there is like.
Yeah. Rainy days, and the next line is icy waves. So yeah.
Well, which was probably good for them, because if people are off the beach, they're in the pubs and listening to music.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could go for a warm pint right now.
I'm drinking a warm pint right now. Anything else you wanna bring up lyrically?
No, I think it's charming.
It is. It's nice. It's simple, and I've never thought about it in the way that you described it, that like kind of rough sense. It just feels like a simpler ditty to me.
Well, and sorry to go back on what I just said, but looking at the lyrics, I actually looked them up before I listened to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, each of these is a highly coded, deep metaphor. and then I looked at pictures of Blackpool, and literally the song is just a photograph of the Blackpool beach.
Yeah, it's Ian Anderson walking down the boardwalk and saying, "Oh, that,
There's
and then
a
that,
thing.
and then that,
I will
and
sing
then that."
I see that thing.
Because we have seen several songs at this point that are like, oh, what's he getting at here? Oh, yeah, my mom's jam sarnies, definitely about sex. Candy floss? Oh, gross. Nope, literally just cotton candy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
one thing lyrically that I want to pull out is we're going up the pool from down the smoke below.
Mm-hmm. Literally the first two lines.
Those ones.
Yeah.
What do you reckon that the smoke below is a reference to smoggy England, smoggy London?
That's exactly my thought. Yeah, is that you're going out into fresh air, which further down that big old chunk of a stanza, it talks about the politicians there who've come to take the air.
The politicians there have come to take the air.
Yeah, exactly. And also in that area, that is sort of more broadly, that is the industrial part of England.
Yeah.
So it could even be more locally, even if you're coming up from Liverpool or Manchester, which were more industrial, factory heavy places.
Sure.
It could be again, a place for families to go and have some fresh air, convalesce, dig in the sand, have a pint, get freaky, listen to some music, and build the future of the greatest prog rock band in the history of the universe.
Yeah, and it ties in again with what you mentioned earlier, is that it's a working man's getaway because they're coming from that highly industrialized. Yeah,
exactly. Is there anything that we want to talk about musically?
The song itself is just a repetition of the two verses. The only difference is that first verse goes beyond that they'll be meeting Mr. Universe. There's a whole nother second half to that section where the second part of the song kind of cuts that first verse down a little bit.
Okay.
But more importantly, that the second singing of the first verse, there's a bit of a chorus in there. And it's a bunch of guys just kind of laughing and playing and singing. There's it's not a strict singing, it's not everybody singing the right note at the right time at the right tempo. It's just a chorus of goofballs singing, essentially.
It feels like a sing-song in a pub.
Yeah, it's really nice.
We're going up the pool from down the smoke below to taste me mum's jam sarnies and see our attic flow.
I wish it lasted longer, to be honest. It's only the first two or three lines.
Do you reckon it's just the bandmates?
I hope that it's just the bandmates. I think it is. I do think it is. I don't think that Ian would go so far as to peddle himself with these various voices, essentially. Unless he's going to harmonize. He does that all the time. But this feels like, okay, guys, let's all sing this one.
Right, just standing around one mic.
Yeah.
And again, refreshing, because that's something that we so rarely hear. Other voices,
right.
Other than Ian Anderson. And a sense of the band as a whole, vocally. It's really cool.
Yeah. Other than that, musically, it's some nice acoustic. It's some nice Ian acoustic, which we've mentioned a lot lately. And And it's just the way that the music part of the song is kind of on the back burner. There's nothing.
Melodically, it almost feels similar to Life's a Long Song in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a similar chord structure, a similar kind of melody. Not that it's the same.
Right, but I think you're right that it elicits the same kind of feeling of a lightness, a flow. You don't necessarily recognize as the song itself is evolving instrumentally. You don't recognize as more instruments are coming in until kind of near the end. You're like, oh, there's more than what we started with, and it's actually really nice.
But not much more in this case.
No, it's super simple. You're right. Yeah.
What a lovely thing. I was expecting some like kind of hard rock, waily electric thing, and this is such a delightful surprise. Much like an impromptu getaway to Blackpool.
Yeah.
Get away to blackpool.co.uk to see what your vacation can be like.
I guess I'll put a link for blackpool.co.uk into the notes.
I would make sure it's a real link first.
You were supposed to do that. You mentioned it.
No, I didn't.
If it's there, I'll put it in. Yeah, that's kind of a I've never thought about it before, but that's kind of a cool concept of play someone who's never heard Jethro Tull before, 2 slow songs and 2 fast songs, and then show them lyrics to another song and have them guess whether it's going to be a heavy song or a soft song.
I think that I just had a stroke while you were talking about that bizarre post-apocalyptic game show that you were just describing.
I think that that goes against the Geneva Convention, and I wouldn't be allowed to do it.
That airs right after Number Wang.
That's like waterboarding. It's a war crime. Can't do it. Not allowed.
Visit blackpool.co.uk is a link, but it's just a link to other links.
Oh, one of those. Okay. I'm not going to bother putting it in. You can find it yourself if you want to see other links.
Just go to Blackpool.
Just go to Blackpool.
.co.uk. Well, Nick.
Yeah, I think that about wraps up the pool for sure.
It wraps up the pool.
It does.
Those best braces dangling down. A suntan stranded starfish in the days. Oh, Blackpool. Oh, Blackpool. Get out, Blackpool.
Nick, what workman's vacation do we have the pleasure of taking next week?
Next week, we are going to see the doctor, Dr. Bogenbroom.
Oh, we must be very sick indeed.
We might be at this point. We've been overexposed to Tull.
Well,
on your trip up the pool, do me a favor and go on up to iTunes as well. There you can give us a review and some 5 stars, just like Beowulf and Mike D and those other people. Jesse Winter, I believe, gave us one as well.
If you want to be...
Hi, Jesse. It's been a while since we talked about you.
If you want to be just like the first hero of the English language, give Talk Tull to Me a 5-star review.
There you go. The Grendel of not having reviews can be slain by giving us 5 stars.
You might want to take an Epsom salt bath after that stretch, Nick.
I need to hydrate.
Until next week, I am Omen Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
We are Feckless Moans.
And this is Talk Tull to Me.
Daddy, when are we
What?
going to get to the beach?
It's about 4 hours away.
Oh, we're there yet.
No, we haven't even left London.
I want candy floss.
That's fine. You can have your candy floss. I'll look at the great big iron.
I want it now, Daddy.
I'll have cockles and mussels. You play with your buckets
Give
and
me your
spades.
cockle and your mussels.
Go drink your tea. Eat a Sony.